What is going on, everyone? It's Brody back again to answer another tennis topic, and today's topic is going to be, is tennis actually an expensive sport to get into and get going with? Now, if you've seen any of my other videos before, you'll kind of get an idea for this answer already, but if you haven't, I'm here to tell you what the actual reasons are and what you actually should be looking at. So, tennis overall is not a expensive sport to get into, because there's only a few things that you actually need. You need a tennis racket, tennis-specific shoes, and tennis balls. Boom. There you go. You can now start playing tennis. You are now playing tennis. Congratulations, you did it. If, however, you want to go to higher levels of tennis, then you can start seeing more expenses. If you start looking at professional players who are traveling around the world playing tournaments, constantly getting their new rackets strung up, constantly getting new shoes, constantly getting a whole bunch of everything, then yes, tennis can be expensive at the higher professional levels, as well as if you, say, have a traveling junior who's playing tournaments every other weekend and in every other state or every other country, you can start to get expensive. But overall, for most of us people who are getting into tennis or have been playing tennis for a while, it's not that expensive. Let me explain why. So most tennis rackets that you look into, especially if you're newer to the sport, a good one that you can usually get because it's last season's models and they work just as fine as the new ones, you can usually get between around $80 to $120, sometimes $150. That will last you for at least a few years. Now, you will have to eventually get string maintenance, but strings, they're not that expensive. There's one type that's really expensive, but they're not that expensive because you don't really need that expensive type. It's called natural gut. You can look into it, but unless there's a very specific case that you need natural gut, do not get natural gut. I'll tell you that right now. It's really hard to maintain. It's really expensive, and just don't do it. Anyway, back to this. So, like I said, you're going to have to get your racket. You'll have to get it restrung. Most of the time, a good string is going to be in the price range of about $9 to sometimes they can range up to $20. That is just factoring in the prices of multiple different strings from multiple different types of strings. I have plenty of different string videos that explains what types of strings are and what they do. I will link that here at the end of the video for you to go and watch that. So with that being said, make sure that you stay till the end so you can find that video and know what strings you should be putting into your racket for your specific style of game. So with the racket and the strings, you'll get those set up. Racket, like I said, between $80 to $120, sometimes $150 starting out. Strings, usually the rackets, if they're in that range, they may come already strung. If not, you can usually get them strung for free by where you are getting. Some places are different about that, but you can usually get it strung for free. Sometimes the manufacturers, so if you buy a Head racket, or if you buy a Babolat racket or a Wilson racket, they may have a free string that they will offer with the racket. It just depends on what they will allow the stores to do. So you'll probably get a string in there for free. You can ask the people who are working at the counter whether or not they think that it's actually worth it. Or you can come back to these videos, ask me, and I'll be able to answer your questions just so that we actually get the correct information out to the people who need it, rather than a lot of the misinformation that goes around in the tennis community about strings, rackets, and all that other stuff. So, you got your racket, it has the strings in it. Now you just need your tennis shoes. Those are usually going to be about, like the tennis rackets, a good pair you can usually get between the $80 to $120 price range. If you go above that, you can. Tennis shoes aren't that crazy. The highest one, I think, is still below $200. If you get it, if you're looking at the brand new ones, I think it's around like $189. So it's not the most expensive thing, but if you're just starting out, shoes aren't going to be necessarily the biggest problem because you don't know the full sport. These shoes are designed to play tennis. They're designed for tennis, so they're designed to last a lot longer than your normal running or gym shoes. Do not let me catch you on a tennis court with normal or running gym shoes that you are not changing into an actual tennis shoe into. If you do that, it's not going to be good for you. Not good. So don't do it. Just get the actual tennis shoes that are designed to help you with tennis. It's going to be a lot better, and your ankles are going to thank you so much more because they will not be hurting, and you have a lot less chance of rolling your ankle than, say, in a running shoe. So all you need from anything: tennis racket, the strings, the tennis shoes, and then a can of balls. Can of balls at the most. Sometimes you can get it to where, like, there's the high quality premium expensive tennis ball. It's like $10 for a can. You don't need those. Just get a tennis ball can that says Extra Duty on it, just to start out with. Extra Duty tennis ball can. You can usually get them for about $4 and you're good. So in total, you got about $4 for the tennis ball can. Let's say $120 for these shoes. So $124 right there. And we'll say another $120 for the racket. So $244, you are good to go. You are now able to play tennis. Ta-da! Now, as you continue on and if you want to get better, you can eventually start doing private lessons. You can join a club that is specifically for tennis. You can start playing tournaments. That's all up to you. You start adding in a lot more expenses then, and that's where some people will say tennis starts to get expensive, but all of that is completely optional. The stuff that I mentioned, the racket, the shoes, the can of balls, those are the prerequisites for you in order to actually be able to start playing tennis. So overall, getting into tennis, super easy, super cheap. Nothing crazy. Going to extremely high levels and playing professionally, very expensive. Not my wheelhouse to talk about. I am not a tennis playing professional, so I am not going to speak on that. There are plenty of other channels, especially like the Tennis Bros. They are probably a very good resource to look at when you are looking into what it's actually like to play and pay in the life of a tennis professional, because they have been documenting their journey for the past few years. So they would be ones to really look out for in that regard. So with that being said, if you liked the video, leave a like on it. Comment down below any more questions that you may have about getting into tennis and what you should expect. If you have any questions, leave them down below. I'll answer them as fast as I can, as well as subscribing to the channel. So like I said earlier, we can get the information from the people who have it to the people who need it. And with that being said, as always, you know what I'm about to say. Take care.